let's talk about hole 16 because um, let's talk about that real quick because that was the one situation I want to bring up.
That was kind of a baller move by Kevin KJ because then he was just like, oh, okay. And then he just grabbed a completely different disc, threw the forehand and parked it and just like walked off. And I was like, that was kind of sick because I was throwing that straight in the bunker again. If the dude just told me you got 30 seconds to sprint, grab that disc and come back, I'd be like, all right, well, here goes my whole bag into the bunker.
So I never played with anyone that really struggled on that hole.
Yeah.
At most, I think it was like 3 throws of like in a row. Like I definitely played with. I think I played with maybe that someone that had like 4 or 5 OB between the 2 shots. But I definitely watched on the tee pad, or you could see people from hole 10 and hole 11 playing that hole as well, and hole 17. So I definitely saw sometimes. And also the other thing that you would do is like when you're walking from 15 to 16, you'd kind of walk through 16's fairway and you would sometimes see people like put their bag on and like half their bag's gone. And you're like, oh, jeez, man, they do a lot of shots. So the interesting thing about 16, obviously we kind of just talked about it a little bit, but where people were throwing their tee shot required like a 300 to 325 foot shot.
Yeah.
Now you could lay up and have like a 200 foot shot. So like the interesting thing here is like there comes a time where you're starting to like throw discs of where you're like, this is not going to really get onto the green. So then it's like, do you then lay up? Because then if you lay up, you really only probably have like 4 or 5 discs from the layup spot to get on. And then from there, it's like, what, you're going to start trying to throw like your distance driver 200 feet. Like that doesn't sound fun. So yeah, Kevin was basically saying like, I want to use those discs that I just threw. And essentially the only way you could use those discs is you basically would just get a courtesy warning, right? So you would go up, get your disc, come back, get a courtesy warning for taking more than 30 seconds, and then throw without a penalty.
Is it a warning anymore? I think it goes straight to penalty now.
No, it's a courtesy warning.
It's not a courtesy, it's a time violation. It's a different rule. Courtesy is a warning. Time violation is a violation. I'm pretty sure you play from wherever it lands with a stroke penalty at this point.
Wait, what are you talking about?
If you take more than 30 seconds to throw, that's a time violation. Courtesy
Isn't this
warning.
The whole thing with Nico? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The first one's a warning. So yeah,
I don't think it is anymore.
Comes back.
I don't think time violation is anymore. Is it?
Yes, Nico got warned. Nico got
foot fault. So I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
You're right.
Nico.
You're right. Time violation's one warning.
Yeah, Nico and Chandler Kramer both got courtesy warning for taking too long.
You're correct.
And then Nico ended up getting another one. Chandler didn't.
The foot fault rule used to be the exact same, and they changed the foot fault rule to now it's just straight to a stroke.
Yeah.
I got them flipped in my head.
Yeah. So basically, Kevin, if he really wanted to, he could have walked up, grabbed those discs, come back, got a courtesy warning, thrown, and then as long as he doesn't get another one, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Do those reset every round? Those have to reset.
Yeah, they reset.
Round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then he would only have to play 17, 18, not do anything stupid. So, but that's an interesting, hole 16 is such an interesting one. I really would love to see you and Trevor play it because luckily for me, I only threw 1 OB the entire tournament on that hole. I actually played that hole 3 under par. So, I missed one of my birdie putts on the island. Sad. But no, I played that hole pretty good, but I definitely like the nerves on the first shot onto the island are pretty high. And then the one time I did miss it long, like that second, like it elevates ridiculously high. So I think it's kind of interesting because it probably like keeps going up, but then there's a certain point of you've thrown so many that it probably drops to where it's just like, at this point, I don't even care.
Yeah, I'm throwing 7.
Well,
do you like that there's no OB stroke with it?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, because it could get really, really bad.
I want to say the first year it was just normal stroke and distance. So you advanced to where you like crossed out, which was typically not that much farther in front of you.
Yeah, I don't like that as much.
Stayed there with the OB.
You're saying advanced to the island?
No, where it was an island green, but it was like, so it was essentially stroke and distance. There was no drop zone, if I remember correctly, like one of the early years, 2015 or so. And because I remember players taking very big numbers, I believe you just moved up to the OB line. So a lot of times players were throwing a forehand, and so they were going out basically 30 feet in front of them. So they were having to rethrow basically the same shot 30 feet closer with the OB penalty. And then it was a relatively newer development, the no penalty.
Yeah, I like not moving. I mean, I think with how disc golf is right now, I think it makes sense, like with the scoring and stuff for that hole. I think it makes sense to play that way because, like I said, it could get really bad real fast for some people. I mean, look, if you go and look, it's not just the people that were finishing bottom. Like there are some people that finished in the top 50 at that tournament that took 7s, 8s, and 9s on that hole. So what would that end up being?
That could probably be like a 13.
And I also think it makes the strategy a lot more interesting because the fact that that it's only one, it makes you like feel like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go for it again. Where I think if it was stroke and distance, like with a penalty included, I think a lot of people would chip up and like just play for a 4.
Just play for a 4 every time.
Similar to how like a lot of FPO players played it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's not something we see more at other tournaments, because like obviously this wasn't an X major. Like the PDGA must have given a what's it called, a waiver or whatever to allow it, because like it's outside the normal scope of the PDGA rules, but it's not like USDGC where it's an X major. So obviously the PDGA is cool with that. I'm surprised that's not something other tournaments have implemented, because like that's a quick way to like add some drama down the stretch.
I think it's the best thing to do on the par 4s, because I hate drop zones on par 4s.
Yeah,
I absolutely despise drop zones. I don't think they should exist on par 4s, and I think this is the solution. Like I still like I wouldn't like that rule on like a par 3 necessarily, where it's just like you just keep reteeing.
Yeah.
And you don't get a penalty stroke. I like the idea of like you get a penalty stroke and then you go to a drop zone, which is like a little bit of an easier tee shot than what you were just doing.
Or a chance at throwing it in from, 200 feet, 100 feet out to save 3.
No, I don't like drop zones that short, Hunter. Come on.
You don't like a 100-foot drop zone? I know you don't like 50 or 60.
No, I hate it. No, because you take the whole. So
like what? You still got to cross the water. Like hole 8, Maple Hill, you still got to cross the water, but it's like 150 feet now.
I don't like that. That's not hard. Like don't do Maple Hill, because I haven't played. I can't talk about Maple Hill. I haven't played it.
I haven't played it either. I want to.
DDO. Do DDO hole 16 at Emporia.
So you don't like where the drop zone is currently?
No, I think the drop zone should be the FPO tee pad,
which is more on the right.
And you're still having to throw like a full shot, not a jump putt.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think you still have to throw. For me, I like having the drop zones where you still have to throw a full shot.
That makes sense.
But going back to it, I think this solves a lot of problems with like island greens and stuff like that for par 4s, and they don't know where to put the drop zone or how you do OBs, because it's like, okay, well, if you go OB on your drive, do you go to the drop? Like all that weird stuff, just make it bunker rule. I like that. That could be really interesting here's the thing. I think having more different variations of hazards and penalties and all that stuff is a really good thing, as long as you can make it very simple of like what it is, and make it to where like the viewer knows like, oh, those are all yellow stakes, so that's the bunker rule. Like if you can make it that way, I think it's great to have different things, because certain holes, OB is going to make more sense than the bunker rule, and stroke and distance is going to make more sense than not. I think that.